Hello to all my booty seekers and cheek chasers. This is the Carpe Natem Podcast. I'm your host, Nate de la Hoya-Reynoso, and I am so grateful you are listening to this episode. If you're new here, you should know that I believe that my purpose is to uplift, inspire, and educate others to communicate masterfully so that they can better understand themselves and the world around them. I've spent years in the personal development and transformational technology space, and I want to share with you the wisdom that was passed down to me from giants in the industry. So if you're on a journey of self-mastery, just like me, looking to make dreams a reality and willing to be a leader for your family and community, then join me in seizing the butt cheeks of life and giving them a big ol' squeeze. Let's jump into the show. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Carpe Natem Podcast. I'm your host, Nate de la Hoya-Reynoso, and I am joined by my lovely wife, Rosario. And this is the first time for us. We are interviewing guests who I am honored to call friends. They are two amazing human beings, and I'm so excited to introduce you to Gal and Mariah Ezra. They are the hosts of the Adventure Continues podcast. They are a dynamic duo who both do many, many different things in the space of entrepreneurship, in the space of business development, for brand support. They do all kinds of things, and I feel like I would not be able to do them justice. And I'd love to just introduce them to the podcast and have them give a little bit of a taste of what their exciting and amazing life is like. Gal, Mariah, welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be on. And I love that we're on with Rosario for the first time. This is amazing.
Yeah.
It's an honor.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
To have fun.
Totally.
It's like a double date, but like podcast edition,
yes,
you know?
This is what entrepreneurial couples do. They just kind of podcast and network together. But
exactly.
Please tell the audience, for those of you who this is the first time hearing you, tell us a little bit about what you do, Gal, and then Mariah.
Yeah, but let's actually start. Mariah, you can give us a bit of a rundown if you want.
Okay, I do content creation in the form of photo and video. I'm sometimes in the photos. Sometimes I'm not. Sometimes I just do product photography and blogging, travel blogging, reviews of beauty, fashion, anything I'm interested at the moment. Mm-hmm. That's my main thing. And a kombucha enthusiast.
Yes.
Love kombucha.
In a wine glass.
It has
to be in a wine glass.
Has to be in a wine glass.
Yeah.
And that's me in a nutshell.
Yes, you can check out our Instagram. She has a whole kombucha and a wine glass vibe going. So definitely check out Mariah. It's mariah.ezra. And you're welcome. I'll give you a shout out anytime. And but also Mariah's being quite humble because she's done work. What she'll do is she'll go with a brand and find out what they need and what they want and how they can best represent their product. And it's more than influencing. She will take photos that never see the light of day from her platforms, but she'll shoot for other companies. So she's done work for L'Oreal, for Sperry's, for Crocs, for, I don't know, I've lost track, but dozens, if not hundreds of brands.
That's amazing. And Gal, what exactly do you do?
Yeah, so I'm an entrepreneur. I started out years ago doing events, specifically music festivals, and they grew to be some of the biggest festivals in the country. Where I live is South Africa, based in Cape Town. We're both based in Cape Town, obviously. And that was a kind of a business that has been running. During COVID, it stopped. Hopefully we'll be starting back up again soon. And in parallel to that, about a year or two before the pandemic even, I started a business that is called Empower Funding, which is in the finance space, but specifically in the property industry. And then other than that, I have a business that I do with my dad. It's actually his business that now I'm getting more and more involved in, called Guaranteed Prosperity, which is basically helping people to make lots of money while having fun and doing it ethically. So that's the idea. We help entrepreneurs to grow their business. We help employees. We help families. We help couples. So it's a combination of business training with improving your life in parallel.
And I can attest to the events that your father has put on because I do know Mir. He's a phenomenal teacher, and the concepts that he brings to the table are so high level, and he breaks it down to be absorbed so simply. And as I've learned, is the more simple a truth is, the more it's actually going to be the truth. Like if it's complicated, it's not actually the truth itself, because the truth is just simple.
Very true. Yeah, that couldn't be more right. That's actually how you and I met, right? I believe it was at a seminar.
Yeah, we met at a seminar in Toronto, I believe.
Yes. Yeah, a few years ago.
So a question I want to ask both of you is, and this is coming from like a space of where both of you are full-fledged entrepreneurs and you've been entrepreneurs for so long, for somebody starting during these times where it just feels like there's so much uncertainty and there's so much like chaos. It's so scary to take that first step. Even doing something like this, putting yourself on like a public platform and just kind of, sharing it all, it comes with so much risk. But of course, the reward is so great, especially if you know what you're doing and you're able to build and grow something that's fathomable. So what do you say to the people who are, currently wanting to start and do something and grow something, but they're just living in times of just what I'm perceiving as just pure chaos?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you want to answer that?
Yeah, I think we can go back and forth.
Exactly.
We'll build off each other. But I just have to say, for me, when I met Gal, he was already an entrepreneur. So I just saw him in that. But for me, I started working for someone, and his advice to me was to keep doing my full-time job. And then in every extra hour that I have, put that towards my dream job or whatever business I want to create. And then when I can make what was it? I forgot what percentage, like either 50% or something of my income. Then he's like, okay, then, or at least have 3 months of savings, or there was something.
There was some, I don't remember the details, but there's some level that you can even set as you take a look at what you need to say, all right, I can let go of it's like a monkey swinging. Like they don't let go of the one branch before they have a good grip on the other one. So when you're like, I have a pretty good grip here, it's safe to let go. So you can swing to the next branch and you can determine that for your life. There was some level, something 50%.
I think it was like 3. I saved up for 3 months, at least. I know that, to know that I could live my life the way it is 100% for 3 months, and kind of took that chance and had, and then if in that 3 months I didn't make it, then I was like, okay, I need to save a bit more and do it again.
Yes, exactly. And I think that if you find that the world is in chaos and you feel that you're in chaos, what that immediately means is that you don't know something. Even in the most chaotic environment, if you know what to do, for you, there is no chaos. So
it's the uncertainty that brings the chaos.
Exactly. So if you feel that you can't control the car, it's because you don't know how to drive. Once you know how to drive, it's very easy to control. And even in chaos, it used to be chaos. I remember when I first started to drive and I was in my neighborhood and one car very slowly was driving towards me in the neighborhood, of course, in its own lane. And in my world, it was chaos.
You're like making sure you're on the right side of the road and not too much over.
It's crazy. And then later, when you can be in chaos. You can be driving in the streets of Cape Town, which is chaos, or wherever, and it's fine for you. And then you go to a place like India where there's scooters everywhere and it's crazy. And they drive like it's nothing because they know. So if you are starting a business and you feel any level of chaos, you need to know right away. You need to report to yourself that there's something you don't know, and you need to immediately find a place to start learning, and somewhere that forces you, but not by force, but by actually gets you to say, hey, look here. And if you look here, you will actually not learn by putting on new stuff, but let's remove the nonsense that you're using. Let's release your handbrake, take away the brake, and release you, and you'll know what to do. That's the approach.
Yeah, something I've been taught and something that I've learned from your father specifically was just kind of being at cause. And that's something that is I've practiced, or I do my best to practice, the idea of like being at cause and being at effect, where if you're at cause, it's because you are proactively living your life, you're present, you're capable and knowing, compared to being reactive or at effect, where everything is kind of happening to you and not for you.
Yes, it's actually to you and not by you. On the one hand, it can happen for you, which is still, I'm kind of an effect because it's for me. But if it's by me, I'm the one that's doing it. I'm putting it there. Then also it will be for me. It will be for everyone. It will be for helping it will be for expansion. If it's just for me, there won't be expansion. But if it's by me, then I can create it for everyone.
Something else I want to ask, because I feel like you'd have some wisdom on this, is something that I've been feeling is burnout. where it feels like I'm constantly on the move. If I'm not moving, then I'm failing at some point. And I'm keeping myself so busy that it feels like I'm burning the candle at both ends. And it gets to a point where it's almost like I want to give up everything and kind of throw it away just because I'm so exhausted from everything. But I know that to achieve something and to actually be successful, it's the continuous motion and the momentum that you build by doing it every day, even if every day sucks. So in those times where somebody like me is in the minutia of doing things, how do I stay aligned with my purpose? How do I stay aligned with my goals? Because there's some days where I feel like an absolute god and everything I'm doing is amazing and I touch everything and it's gold. And then there's some days where I just feel like everything I touch turns to shit, but I still have to bring the same energy and the same level that I bring every single day, regardless of how I feel. So, and this could also be taken into consideration for like relationships, especially when you're in a relationship for so long with the same person. It's easy to lose sight of why you got married in the first place, what the point of the relationship is to begin with, and that same feeling. Can you speak to any of that?
Yeah, go for it.
I'm sure you have a deep answer. I have a more day-to-day, but you can
your answers are amazing always.
Okay. What I do to avoid burnout is, first of all, if it's sometimes what happens is I have a lot of open cycles that I have going on, open to do, like a big to-do list. So I have like a checklist of things that I want to do every week to just kind of like restart the week. So it could be as simple as answer all my emails in my inbox, answer all my DMs, fold all my laundry, organize the house, whatever, just on a space, because that's my office essentially is the house. So that usually helps. And if not that, then I like to just sit and kind of like, I call it like a brain dump, and brain dump all like my reasons for why I'm doing something. Because sometimes you just have burnout because you forget that purpose that you originally set. And a lot of times I find that when I do that, I don't just write them down and read over them. I create them in a new unit of time, because sometimes I create other purposes, or maybe my purpose last week isn't what my purpose is now. So I want to make sure that it aligns with like in a new unit of time. And now what do I want to create for the future? And usually that gives me a bit more oomph.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
That's really good. I would say, first of all, that I'm not a huge fan of the term burnout, because I'm not a candle and I don't feel that I need to burn out. I'm not a wick that you can blow on me and I just burn out. And I think that the more times you put attention on burnout, okay, when you say there's burnout, you can burn out, and everybody's talking about burnout, you put lots of attention on it, and surprise, surprise, you get it more and more. People talk about it more, you feel it all of a sudden more, and it becomes like a common symptom. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Do you think that it's exacerbated by focusing on the feeling of, because even though you're right, I'm not a candle that can be blown, the idea is I do feel like I'm hitting some sort of wall mentally, and I'm at capacity, and it feels it does feel like if a computer just has too many tabs open.
Totally. So yes. So the thing is that, first of all, it can be exacerbated by putting attention on it. If you put attention on something, it grows. But the reason I say that it's not that burnout is a nonsense answer for most people that they operate with, because if that was the reason and burnout was a thing, then by them relaxing for a day, their burnout should be resolved for a year. But they relax for a day and then they want to relax from their relaxation. You need a vacation from your vacation type thing. So the truth is that that's not the handling. It's to say, well, it's my burnout. The real handling is the fact, which is what you are implying, which is the open tabs. And we'll get into that in a sec. And it's what Mariah was saying that she does, is she closes off different things that she's opened. So you can think of it as, if you have a ton of WhatsApp messages and the laundry is still wet in the machine and the house isn't clean and you have people calling you that you said you would call them back yesterday, but you didn't. And then you have notes on your phone that you were sure you would get done, but you didn't, and emails and notifications on Facebook and lots of work to do. And it piles up and you start to feel that you're going and smoke is coming out of the machine. So that feeling, the source of it, is not the symptom of I'm burned out. That's a symptom that you feel some smoke, but nobody says, well, where is it coming from? And that's what you're essentially asking, which is, let's handle those small things that you said you would do that you didn't. Let's make a list of everything that I said I would do that I didn't, of everything I needed to do that I didn't. Let's make a list of all the things I started that I didn't complete, all the people I said I would call, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And when you start to go one by one and just say, I'm not doing anything right now, but for the next hour, I'm closing those things. I'm answering all my messages. I'm answering my Facebook notifications. I'm cleaning the house. I'm taking the laundry out one by one by one. You'll feel, and then you can put it towards production.
I just want to add to that.
Yeah.
When you said make a list, I know a common question is there like a list of everything that I've never, like everything my whole life that I haven't finished. And you can, but you can look at the list and also decide that you're no longer going to do it. If that makes sense. So say you started in a painting and you're no longer into painting. It's not like you have to now go back to like finish the painting. You know, you can decide, okay, this is not my hobby anymore. I don't want to finish this piece, and cross it off. And then it's done. It's considered a closed task.
Yes, exactly. And when you do that, you'll find that you get your power back to actually generate towards something. But the problem is most people make a to-do list that doesn't forward any actual purpose. They just do a bunch of stuff, but it doesn't actually take them any step forward. It takes them sideways again and again, but never forward. So you need to create then, once you finish all those things, what you now need to do is make your to-do list towards a specific direction, forwarding your purpose, not all the random things that most people do, which really is like a sideways zigzag, really.
I'd like to ask, how does one discover what one's purpose is? Because I've discovered mine, and I feel like it's changed over time. And I feel like as people, we're malleable. And of course, the thing that we originally set out to do might not be the best thing for us, but to avoid jumping from thing to thing and just chasing the next shiny object, how does one define and really figure out what they're meant to do, what the purpose of this is? Because even this podcast has changed what the direction is. And as I do it more, I am able to look at it and be like, okay, let's focus on this. Let's change who the guests are, the topics that we talk about. Let's move this. Let's change this so that it's not just like a bullshit and hang, but it's actually something where if somebody's listening, they can pick something up and then apply it to their life. So it goes back to the question of how do you figure out what the purpose of something is? And how do you know that once you've figured it out, it's the right thing?
Yeah. So a purpose is not something that you can find, and it's not something that you can discover. Yeah. So you cannot find a purpose. That's something that people look for their purpose all day long and they never find it. And they feel that they found it and then they didn't. And that's why everybody's looking to find their purpose. But purpose is not something that you can find. Otherwise, everyone would find it. A purpose is something that you know. It becomes like obvious, you know it. You can't find it. There's nowhere to look. It's something that you have to know. And the way to know it is actually not by at all trying to know it, because then you're trying to find it. It's actually by defining what's the result I want to have. When my result is crystal clear and I know my result, the purpose is like, oh, I know what to do. Because a purpose is actually something you do towards a result. That's the definition of a purpose. Something that you do towards a result. It's something you actively do. It's a doingness. If you need to find it, you will never. But if you define, I want to have an amazing relationship with 2 kids and a beautiful this and a wonderful that, and you find out, and we travel and we both do this and we did it, and you have it very, 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 very clear, it becomes, okay, so our purpose is blah, obvious, no question. We don't need to find it. For both of in the relationship, it'll become obvious, like, duh, we know it. because you defined what you want to have.
And that's something that's kind of interesting because I don't think we've ever sat down and really defined like what our future looks like. I know that we always look at the idea of what's improved since the year before, and that's how we kind of take tally. Mm-hmm. But I've never asked you, like, babe, what kind of future do you see us having?
I see us having a stable sideways?
Straight.
Okay.
Yeah, the mic's
First
always
time,
sticky.
I don't know.
I get it.
Stable life that we can take advantage of, meaning that we can have adventures whenever we want to, and then come back and still have a mentality of, oh, we didn't overdid it. We didn't stay for longer than we should have, or we could have stayed longer than we did. I don't like that feeling of what could have happened if we would have, I don't like that. I like being like, okay, we're going to go for a week. We're going to do as much as we can. We're not going to force it on ourselves, and then come back home and still be okay. Be like, oh, we're back to reality, to a point where it's like, we have to grind again. We had to go to work every day. We had to do this consistently. I don't come from an entrepreneur environment. I don't do talks. I don't do computers or anything like that. As you can see,
you're doing great. You could have fooled me.
Thank you. I am more of a restaurant person. I love what is being in front of people in a restaurant environment and talking about wine, grapes, fruit, gardening, and like outdoors. That's me, because that's how I grew up.
Yeah, it's amazing.
3 years ago, I didn't know what it was to travel. I know what it is to travel because of him now. My mother never allowed me to expand myself. So it's really interesting to see the fact that I don't struggle with the burnout. I never heard that word as much as I am doing with him, because mentally I'm able to like do the tasks that I see on the side that needs to be done. I don't have to remind myself. I just know it has to be done, and then I just do it because I love doing it. Like, I have such a mother nature on me that those are things that it pleases me. Like, I have fun. Like, it makes me happy in a weird way. Like, I love doing the dishes. No one loves doing dishes. Everyone fights to see who's going to do the dishes. Yeah. I love cooking and cleaning the mess. I clean the house, and sometimes my only request is leave the house, take the dog, and when you come back, the house is clean. Mop everything.
Oh. We have a great place in Cape Town if you want to come by and, be with us.
She's someone who is excellent at being in the moment, being in the present. I struggle with that the most. And I feel like where we balance each other is, where I can think ahead and focus on the planning and the financial parts of things and really just making sure that we're secure. She's the thing that makes this house a home.
Amazing. That's awesome.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And it's so when you go and you actually start to break down, and Mariah and I have done this many times, especially early on. Now it's something that I think are aligned with, we just know it well, and not to the point that we need to go over it. But early on, especially, we often wrote down, what do we want the future children to how do we want to raise the kids in the future? What is our ideal relationship like? How much do we travel every year? What's our ideal home like? And we painted a full picture, and we call it a success picture. It's like, everything was unbelievable in every part of life, what would it be like? And not just what do we think, but if I'm looking at the point of view of my children, what will it be? And I don't have children yet, but for them, what would be amazing for them from their point of view? What will be amazing for them? And we really looked at everything. So it became, okay, that's what we want to, that's the result. And so it's obvious that we both have a purpose to work hard, to have fun, to travel, to create, to support each other, to maximize each other. For you, Rosario, for example, you have this clear result that you want, which is an amazing home and taking care and food and creating an amazing environment. So for you, the purpose, which is what you do towards the result, is amazing. You know it. Nobody need to tell you. They need to find it. You know it. And so it's amazing and you can create. So that's really because you have the result clear. And every couple, every business, every person should really look at what is the result that you want to have. I've spoken a lot. I don't know if you
No, I think that's great. But I did want to add that because
Yes.
you said we did it back then, which we did. We defined everything in detail back then. But every so often, every few months, we do kind of see where are we? Are we on target? You know,
Yes.
have we done X, Y, Z? And so we do catch up every few months.
100%. That's true. That's true. I
It's
suppose.
a reason to go out to dinner and have like a date.
Yeah,
you
we
know?
talk about that on dates. Yeah. It's so I was meaning that early on we would we dove in heavy, but we still put it there newly and we check in, you know?
I love it. It's such a thoughtful way. I've heard of people making vision boards, but they do it for like their goals and dreams and like, you know, their mansions and Ferraris. But yeah, I rarely hear it be done for couples. So
Yeah, 100%.
It's a really great idea.
Yes. And I just want to add one more thing because it's important. The problem with like a vision board or with what most people do is that what we do is we put it there. Okay. We literally are like, this is what we're going. This is what we want to have as a result, but we are actively moving towards it.
And we put a timeline on it.
And
It's not like in the future. It's 4 years, 5, 2 months.
Like we're putting it there and again and again and again. And as far as we're concerned, it's already done. We just now need to do some steps towards it, but it's done. Okay. Like, you know, somebody tells you, can you do this for me? And the guy says, consider it done. What they mean is, it's done. I just need to go do a couple things quickly. Don't worry about it. That's how we look at it. And the problem with like a vision board, etc., is all you're doing is you're saying, but I don't have it. You have a Ferrari on the thing and you have a beautiful house and and all you're saying is, but right now I don't have it. But right now I don't. One day, but right now I don't.
In the future, I will have it.
In the future, and the future never comes. And then, so that's my only issue with it, is that it's a thing of intensifying the fact that you don't have it. So you need to put it there. What was that?
I feel like having a board for all of that, it becomes a disappointment, like waking up every single day and you having this vision of, oh, this is what I want for myself, and you don't have it. And then every day I had to go work for it. Oh, I had to go work for it. It becomes now I have the pressure of myself to do better than I'm doing. And then if you have the burnout of feeling like I didn't do it, and the self-esteem of like punishing yourself too much, obviously you're going to see that board as a negativity. And, personally, I feel like for me, I have this vision because I grew up in a different environment than he did. I grew up in more closer family-oriented family. Like my mom, my dad are still together until this day. Happy couple, everything. They go out, have dinner like they were 17, 16, you know. I have that on me. Yeah. So that's what I bring every single day on the table with him, that I try to be like, because this is what I saw growing up, you know? And now that I've seen how he grew up to, sometimes it's a battle in my head I don't know what to do because you don't understand, because that's not how you grew up. Yeah. You know, it's like I have to adapt too much to not hurt you, because if I say something in a way probably my brother did to me, I know him for so many years. We've been together for so many years. You know, I get him. But if he says something like that to you, you would be offended. You would be upset.
Something to add on to that. There is, when we argue, and we don't argue often, which for those listening, if you're in a long-term relationship, it happens, right? We get into arguments, we get into fights. Not all the time. I feel like
if you don't argue, you don't care.
Right. If you don't argue, you don't care.
We don't get in arguments all the time. But my thing is, if you don't argue, you don't care. It's like,
I don't know if that's true. Hold on. That is not true. If you don't argue, you don't care. That's an example of fake reality. Okay. A fake reality is a piece of information you're 100% sure is right. If you don't argue, you don't care. You're sure it's right. But if you use it, it doesn't bring the expected result. If your expected result is more love, less arguments, more happiness, more creation. So if that's where you want to go, is that your expected result? Is more love, more creation, more caring?
My result is that he will understand, and then next time he has words to express himself and be able to tell me. So that way I don't have to figure it out. you know?
Okay. So you want good communication.
My expectation. Yeah. To have like better and strong, like, oh, now I know.
Okay.
You know,
so
instead of being like, don't be around the bush. Straightforward helps be a stronger relationship.
There's what I'm noticing is that when we do tend to argue, it's because of a misalignment in realities. It's one's believing something while the other one kind of either sees the opposite of it, and both of us want to be right.
Yes, 100%. And so what you want is better communication and lots of understanding. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. In the middle of an argument, when you're in the middle of an argument, is there good communication or bad?
Bad.
Okay. Rosario, good or bad?
Bad.
Okay. More understanding or less?
Sometimes it's like half and half.
But the middle, it's like the heat. You're arguing. You want to throw a vase at one another. It's bad. So that means that arguing is not in the direction of the result you want. So if you don't argue, you don't care, then that means, let's take it to the extreme. Let's argue all the time. Will there be more caring or less?
Less.
Less caring.
Less. So that is what you want to say is, when you communicate well, when you listen and understand me, I feel that you care. Or when we just have good communication, then we both care. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Arguing is not the target. That's like saying, I'm trying to go to New York, but I'm driving towards LA. If arguing to show care, you're driving to New York, but you're trying to get to LA. You're driving in the wrong direction. It's not arguing. You don't want to argue. And by the way, you also don't want to adapt. None of you should adapt to each other. What we need to do is to create together. We can create some. So maybe your parents did some great things. Maybe his parents did great or bad. But what you for sure want is not to adapt, because adapt says the environment will take me wherever I go. I'll adapt. But what you say instead is, no, we create. We every day together, we put there what we want to do. We create the relationship. We create it on ourselves. We create it on our job. Let's put some new things there. Let's decide. And maybe we can have learned from our parents, of course. But let's look and say, and create it again.
Amazing. I've never thought of it from a perspective, because I've always looked at it from the same place as her, is like we adapt to each other. But instead
I think a lot of people do that, and that's why they become their parents, and they're like, they don't want to be like their parents, but then they're, I would see it that I'm like, I do the same thing that my mom does that I don't like. And I'm like, no, I don't need I can learn from her, but I need to create from what I feel is right. And see,
Yeah, 100%. Or look at, that's so true. Most couples, if you think about it, statistically, most couples end in divorce, unfortunately. And even those that didn't, there's a huge percentage that are together but wish they were divorced. Okay. So that tells you that most people adapt. Most people will say that. But adapting means I'll do less. I'll do what the environment tells me, which means I'm going to contract over time. I change and compromise and get less over time to what is going on around me. If you say I create, it means I'm expanding. Let's put something new there. Let's do something. I'm not adapting to the fact that, Mariah wants to have a certain way. I'll not adapt. I'll understand her. And I say, you know what? Fine. Let's do it that way. But how about we also do it this way? And she'll say, okay, I'm open to that. Let's do it that way. And we create, and we always look at what we can do new and fun and putting new things there.
Creating the reality together.
Yeah. It's a tiny difference. So that's like, it makes all the difference.
And that's what the show's about. It's really about the communication that you have with yourself and with the environment around you. And if it's as simple as changing a word or changing a belief that's so ingrained into our being, if it comes to the benefit of bettering ourselves or in bettering the relationships around us, then it's best to make that tiny, small change. And it may seem significant, but the compounding effect of it is huge. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely huge. I couldn't agree more. Was there more you wanted to add?
No.
Okay. I've been speaking a lot, but that happens sometimes.
Last couple of questions. Is there anything that you two do that is special and unique to you to keep the relationship, fun and exciting? Like, for example, what my wife and I do is we met on April 11th. Her birthday is May 11th, and we got married on March 11th. So every 11th of every month, we go out, we go to dinner, we have a date. Like that's our
cute.
monthly date. We have other dates, like we definitely do dates.
Of course.
But that day, every month is like, that's something that we do. And we recommend to other people, like, have a planned date. Don't ever stop dating each other.
Yes.
Don't ever get out of the dating phase.
Yes.
What's something unique that y'all do?
Yeah. By the way, I love that. And 11 is such a cool number, right? It's so cool. Mariah?
Yeah, we actually do something very similar. We also believe that you should keep dating each other. We met on January 1st. So on the 1st of every month, we go on a date. And we also got married on March 1st. Yeah. So we tried doing the first also.
Yeah, so very similar. And and also it's sometimes for us it'll be like, oh, it's the first, and even if it's just giving it, sometimes it's not something as amazing as the month before. Let's say, like, maybe that time we won't go out to a dinner, but
we'll get a special dessert or something.
Yeah, get a special dessert, or I don't know, we'll do something small, stay in and watch a movie together. Because sometimes earlier that week we've gone out to dinner because of whatever, with each other, with friends. But the point is, we always put some level of special, sprinkly dust of special on the first. And it's fun, even if it's something simple, and sometimes it's something more.
For me personally, this is something I actually got him into, is I send him quick reminders every day, or any day that I feel like extra, like, you need a reminder or something. Sometimes it's like, I know that day has been a struggle. You got this. Anything that happens, you can with me. I'm going to be there. You're not alone. Sometimes I send him reminders about like how sexy his body is, how his curls look nice, how his outfit was. Or I was like, oh, quick reminder, you're an amazing husband. Thank you so much for doing this little thing, this little that. Thank you so much for walking the dog. Thank you so much for taking care of her. Little things that I felt like he wasn't used to it at all. Like, for some reason, he wasn't used to being like so spoiled for like in an emotional way. I'm that kind of person. I like to like tell him every single day. I don't know where be like, oh my God, you're so hot. I don't know where I'm like, oh my God, who's that guy? That's me.
Yes,
that's a great idea.
It's a great
I love
idea.
that. I'm gonna. Yeah,
I feel like when he tells me that, it makes me feel sexy, makes me feel nice, and I'm like, how about if I make you feel the same thing? How about like I reciprocate the feeling, so that way how you feel, how good it feels to feel good. By someone you love.
Yeah. That's so cool. Very great. I love it.
She leaves me little notes everywhere, and I save them, and I have like a little collection of them. It's just, they're sweet. I've never had somebody be this affectionate, or if I did, I just didn't appreciate it like I do now.
That's amazing.
That's so I love that.
That's very good. That's very good. I love it. We got good ones, Nate.
We got amazing ones.
Yeah.
Thank you two for being such amazing guests. Where it's time to wrap up. Do you have any final messages that you'd like to share with my audience? Anything that you'd like to just say that more people should hear?
Yes. First of all, we have a podcast called The Adventure Continues, as you said. And if anybody wants to listen, you can. We'll
shout you out and do all your handles at the end. But
okay,
this is
fantastic.
This is strictly just like a message you'd like to more people to hear. I always
I have it. Yes, I have it for you. Ready? So it actually piggybacks off of what Rosario does for you. And it's really, the purpose of a relationship. Like, why are we together? Why is there a couple? Why a family even? It's really, the way we look at it is to maximize the potential of the other side. So to bring out the best that you can possibly bring from the other person, because everybody has huge potential, and I need to draw out the most from her, and she needs to draw out the most from me, because it's there, and together we build it. And that's what you guys do for each other, clearly. And that's really a message that I would leave for anyone, is whether it's to your mom or to your significant other or to your cousin, maximize their potential. That's what family is for.
That's amazing. I love that.
Thank you.
That's really great.
Mwah. And you?
I can't beat that, baby.
Yeah, no, you have said. You don't.
I don't know.
Final messages.
That was good. I was so thinking about what you were saying, and I didn't even think of my own.
Okay, fair enough.
That was a beautiful note to end on. Let the people know how they can find you.
Yes, so we have the Adventure Continues podcast. which is a podcast that we do about relationships of any kind, all the ships, partnerships, friendships.
Relationship with yourself, your body, your mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And then if you want to learn more about some of the things that I and my father do about business, about life, and really get to a position where so you don't have chaos, you can have a look at gprosperity.com. G stands for guaranteed, because we guarantee our results. If we say that we're going to improve your sales and we don't from this course, we'll pay you back. It's guaranteed results. So guaranteedprosperity.com or gprosperity.com. The company is Guaranteed Prosperity. And Mariah, where can we find your handles? You have a website, you have a YouTube, she has amazing on every social media. It's like,
we'll make sure to link it on the show announcement.
Yeah.
Great,
but
thanks.
check out our blog on mariahezra.com and find her on Instagram, mariah.ezra.
Thanks, babe.
You're welcome.
Cool. Thank you two so much for being authentic and being wonderful guests and sharing your story with me and my wife. And this was a fun experience. I thank you very much for being such wonderful guests and being such wonderful people.
It was so fun. Thank you guys for that as well.
Thank you. It was a pleasure meeting you guys. Hope to see you guys soon.
Yeah, hopefully in
Pleasure
person.
meeting you too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Awesome. Y'all take care.
Thanks so much. That was great. That was really cool.
Thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Carpe Natem Podcast. If you love this episode, please consider leaving a positive rating and review on Apple Music or iTunes. It takes 30 seconds for you, but for us, it helps spread positivity to more people during these chaotic times. It helps build a community, and it makes me smile from ear to ear. Speaking of community, we have a Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/Carpe Natem. Just answer the 3 questions to get access to some extra motivation and inspiration for your timeline. If you would like to support this podcast, screenshot this episode and share this to your story. Tag me at Carpe Natem 114. That's going to be my handle across all platforms, including TikTok, if you'd like to give me a follow. If you haven't already, please rate us and subscribe on Spotify or anywhere you enjoy your podcasts. And lastly, you can find all episodes, linked to resources, and opportunities for coaching and mentoring from me at carpenatem114.com. I cannot thank you enough for spending part of your day with me. You are all rock stars taking the necessary steps to be your best self, willing to do whatever it takes, and ready to grab life by the butt cheeks. So until next time, this is Nate Hoya-Reynoso signing off.